I'm actually getting my first mammogram tomorrow.
When they first told me that they had found something, I was like, oh, not for me. It's not cancer. It's probably a cyst. It's probably something else. It doesn't run in my family. I am thankful that all I had to lose was my right breast and not my life. I mean, that is a gift.
Hello, everyone. Happy October. Today marks the first Monday of October, which is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Women's health is something we talk about a lot here on Chiquis and Chill because it is something that is very important to me. And today we're going to be hearing from a breast cancer survivor. I've said this before, but I think we learn by listening to other people's experiences, so I'm hoping you all take something away from today's conversation. This is Chiquis and Chill. Today's guest is Kristina Guerrero. She's a storyteller, pop culture expert, and a television host. You may have seen her on E! Entertainment, where she was the very first Latina correspondent. So welcome, Kristina. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much.
I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time, and also being so open about your story. I'm going through a few things, and we'll talk about that later. As I was reading about you and your story, one thing that caught my attention was that, and I totally understand as well, as far as like how being a Latina wasn't like a cool thing. It wasn't celebrated.
It is so interesting because, I grew up in the 80s and 90s and I grew up in a really small cow town in Washington State where it wasn't celebrated. It wasn't anything that people were wanting to throw around or like be proud of it. And I just feel like, I had a lot of mixed messages. Be proud of who you are, but don't be too proud of who you are. Mm-hmm. Be proud of where you come from, but don't speak Spanish, those kinds of things.
Yes.
Now, it brings me so much joy. It gives me a depth in ways that other people just can't understand. It connects me to my ancestors. It connects me to my people. It's a beautiful thing. I love my culture.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally get that. That's how I felt before. It was like, oh, don't speak Spanish. The more English you can speak, the better. Especially when I was like going to school and stuff. My first language was Spanish because my grandparents, they raised me. So then having to go to school and learn English. And then after I learned English, it's like, okay, don't speak Spanish. I kind of forgot how to speak the correct, Spanish, I guess, the proper way. So I totally get that. Now we're on top. Now it's like everyone wants to be a Latina.
I know.
Which is cool.
I'll take it. We've made it so cool. It's like, come on the other side. We're having a good time over here.
Yes, we are. There's a lot of flavor over here. So when did this, I want to become a television host happen? Or did it just happen by accident or you always knew?
It's so interesting because I get asked that question a lot. And I was just back home in Washington in my small little cow town. And I was amazed to myself. I'm like, how did a little girl who was dark and greñuda and, dirty and running around, poor. My dad was an alcoholic and in jail. My mom was on welfare and food stamps. And I look at that time and I'm like, how did I believe that I was meant to do something beyond the small town that I was raised in? And I just have to give it to God. Mm-hmm. I just have to give it to God. It was a divine purpose for me I don't believe God was like, we want you to be an entertainment host. Yeah. I believe that God gave me a voice and a purpose to reach people. Mm-hmm. And I believed it. I thought somebody has to do it. Why can't it be me? And I never wavered from that. And I went to school. I hustled. I worked hard. I did jobs for free. And I just worked my way all the way up the ladder until I realized my dreams. And then when I realized my dreams, I was like, oh, it happened. I did it. Oh no, yeah. I'm here. Oh now gosh. What?
That's so awesome because you work so hard.
Yeah, but I've always loved talking to people. My mom would always tell me, you talk too much. Stop talking to strangers. I love talking to people. And so I had an innate sensibility for performance. And then I was such a curious little girl. So I just put the two together and being a TV host was the perfect job for me.
That's awesome. I think you're amazing at it. And yeah, you're a storyteller. You're a storyteller. And people always ask me how do you get people to talk to you? Or sometimes I can go somewhere random. They don't know who I am or anything. We just start talking and they tell me their whole life. And there I am giving them advice. And then I tell them my whole life. And I'm like, I just love talking to people. I feel like it's part of like what I'm meant to do is just inform people. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's the human connection, right? Relating to people on the same level, right? You're this like huge superstar and have had this extraordinary life. But like if we get back down to just the human experience, my story and your story and the story of the person who just got on the city bus or the story of the person who is standing in the welfare line, or where all of our stories are kind of intertwined, and that's the human connection, I believe.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Absolutely. I love that because that's what it is. At the end of the day, we're all equal. It's just, we're doing different things in the world, but we're all equal. So yes, I love that. And I completely agree. And now talking about storytelling, you were telling your story. I saw that about a month ago. Was it a little bit over a month that you were talking about what you were going through? How did that feel? Did you feel the need to share it? Did you think about, I'm going to keep this to myself ever? Or did you always know, I want to talk about this and be open about it?
I've always been a very open book. The nature of our business is to connect to people and to relate to people. And then a lot of people just kind of know who we are. So I've always felt like I had a platform to be able to share my story. But before I shared my story, I needed to process everything that was happening. I could not do it in real time. And so I always knew that this was going to be a great opportunity for me to connect to people, to hopefully inspire people, to educate people. But while I was going through it, I kind of talk about in my documentary, I was just walking through molasses. So I was just walking in this really kind of out of body experience. I had to still go to work. I have 2 little boys I have to get to school. I have to get to soccer practice. I have to pay bills. I have, to get dinner on the table. Oh, and then I'm going through cancer. And then my life is completely changing. And then I might die. And then I might not be here for my boys. And then I'm going to lose a part of my body. So I was on autopilot for a very long time. And I know a lot of people process not like on Instagram and publicly in real time. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you were documenting everything. Was it first and foremost for yourself, and then you decided to say, hey, I'm going to share this? Or because it was your husband, right, who was recording everything for you?
I was recording some stuff. He's the one who produced it, but he recorded some stuff as well.
Okay.
He's a filmmaker and I'm a storyteller. I'm a journalist. And so even though we were processing on this like really crazy level, we are both storytellers. And so, we knew that we wanted to document it. I didn't know at that point what I would do with it. Maybe it was just going to be neat for me one day to kind of look back and see all the craziness that was happening. But the way he sees life as a filmmaker and the way I see life as a journalist, everything is in story form. So we just kind of proceeded that way.
Does breast cancer run in your family?
Okay, let me tell you this. It was a huge shock. I go get my mammogram every year when I turn 40 because that's just like what you're supposed to do, right? I've been in this business for a long time. I report on breast cancer awareness every October. I do an interview on somebody. I never think it's for me. It's for somebody else because it doesn't run in my family. But I still, my due diligence, I go get my mammogram so I can tell people I do it. You should do it too.
Right.
And so when they first told me that they had found something, I was like, oh, not for me. It's not cancer. It's probably a cyst. It's probably something else. It doesn't run in my family. And they said, yeah, we don't think that it's anything either. And they did some more tests. It should take 2 days to get the results. It took 6 weeks to get the results because it's such a rare form of breast cancer. They didn't know what it was. So when I got that information, I was shook. Mm-hmm. Doesn't run in my family. I'm 43 years old. I'm very healthy. This is not happening to me. This is not in the cards. This was not in the plan. Mm-hmm. To get that news turned my world upside down. Getting that news, finding out it was an aggressive form of breast cancer, that it was a rare form of breast cancer. Had I not gone to go get my mammogram, I would have died.
Oh my goodness.
I say that dramatically because I can't even stress to you how important early detection is. Again, I wasn't doing it because I was like, early detection. I was doing it because I'm like, I tell other people to do it. I should do it too. Also, I need my medication refilled, so I'll just do it all at the same time. My doctor tells me if we don't get this out of you, it will kill you.
Wow.
I've got 2 little boys at home. I've got my whole life ahead of me. We run our lives moving at a pace that is fast and quick, and we're not taking care of ourselves, or we're not thinking. And when we run our lives like that, we miss, right? Things fall through the cracks. We miss things. Had I missed this, I would have died.
How did your boys take it? Did you take a while to let them know?
I have little boys. So my little boy I have a 10-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. And they just knew that mommy needed to get better, that there was something going on, and the doctor needed to take care of me so that I could be around for a really long time. And so I've been really grateful to shield them from kind of everything that's happening. With my documentary, though, my husband and I said, when they're of age, we can bring this to them and show them what I was going through, for them to kind of see how it all unfolded. But for now, I mean, had I had to go through chemo or have lost my hair or some of the other side effects that happen, then we probably would have told them. But we were able to shield them from that, thankfully.
Yeah, that's probably best for sure. And like you said, you guys have it in a documentary. And from what it seems like, your husband was very supportive, and I think that makes a huge difference as well.
Yeah. No, it's hard. It's funny. It's not funny. Cancer runs in his family. And I had just told him a couple weeks before, go get checked. Cancer runs in your family. You're going to get cancer. Go get checked. And then I'm the one who gets cancer. So unfortunately, he's very familiar with it. He is a great caretaker, and he took really good care of me. So I was very thankful for that.
Oh, shout out to your husband. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. But it's interesting because, and I hope people still are listening. It's not a sexy topic, right? It's not a sexy topic to talk about breast cancer. It's like, oh, one of those things. Then one of those things you have to do, or one of those things somebody else is going through. One of those things that will happen to somebody else. And I'm just here to say that it can happen to anyone. And as I know who your audience is, breast cancer is the number 1 killer of Hispanic women. And that is because I believe we are not educated. We don't maybe value our health as much as we should. We are taking care of everybody else. And we're not thinking in those terms. I talked to my sister who's older than me. She's like, oh, I've been meaning to get a mammogram. I'm like, what are you waiting for? But there's like something in our culture that's like, we get diabetes and heart disease. Cancer doesn't happen to us, And so it's happening to our people. It's happening to our women, our moms, our grandmas, our sisters, our cousins. And we need to be aware of it.
We need to be aware and also responsible, because I think as Latinos, we feel like, oh, we're fine, especially a lot of men and women as well. It's like the last thing you do. You just have to feel completely sick in order to say, okay, now I'm really going to the doctor. But you felt fine,
I felt fine, yeah.
Yeah, you were just doing the routine of like, okay, I got to do this. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with me because I'm actually getting my first mammogram tomorrow.
Yay! I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank you. Because before everyone was like, okay, until you turn 40. Now they're saying to do it as early as 35.
Yes.
So I am 38 and I've had breast surgery, like breast augmentation and breast reductions and all that stuff. And my gynecologist has, they do the little, the check or whatnot. And I've had lumps and stuff. And she's like, I think it's scar tissue. And then I'm like, well, now it's growing. So I went to the doctor last week. and some other stuff came up. And like you said, it's not a sexy conversation, but it's a conversation that we need to have. Like, I'm very good with every February, I get my pap smear and I get all that stuff checked. I get checked for STDs, the whole thing. But I was kind of bleeding. I was spotting a little bit. I'm like, something doesn't feel right. And I've had cysts in my ovaries and stuff. And now I have polyps or something like that in the lining of my uterus. And I have to get it like surgically removed. And I have all these like stuff going on my breast. And I'm just like, what's happening? I had a meltdown last week because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel fine. I'm working. Like this is, and I'm like, wait, if I'm not okay, if I'm not healthy, I can't do everything I do. I can't help the world. So I have to put myself first. But it was definitely something that I was like, I'm so glad we're having this conversation to be able to help other women and say, hey, if they've never gotten a mammogram or they don't go get their pap smear or just like the routine checks, it's so important, ladies. It really is.
Also, it's like, no, that can't possibly be anything. I'm fine. I feel fine. Right. Putting things off. Like when I get really sick, then I'll go take a look at it. So just something that I'll share with you and with your legions of fans. But I also had a breast reduction 2 years ago. And so when I first when she was like, oh, there's something here, we're going to go look at it. I was like, you know what? It's scar tissue. I already know it. It's all good. It's scar tissue. And they're like, you know what? You're probably right. That makes sense. It tracks. Now I could have left it at that and just been like, yeah, that's what it is. I just know because I know better than everybody else. But I was like, she's like, I'm not going to let you leave until we do more tests. I was like, oh, okay, let's do more tests. And then I find out it's an aggressive form of breast cancer that had I not taken care of it when I did, would have killed me. I'm so happy to hear that you're going to go take care of yourself. This like brings me so much joy, and really like putting this out there, my story and the way in which I'm doing it is like, I am not the person cancer is going to come and get. That is what I told myself. So somebody out there right now is listening and they felt a lump or something's not right or whatever. And they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm here to tell you, go get yourself checked out.
Yes, please.
Go get yourself checked out. It could save your life.
I'm so nervous and I'm so scared, to be honest, to get a mammogram because I have a friend that said it really hurt because I have implants in. So she said that it hurts. It's uncomfortable. I don't know. You tell me, but I know I have to do it, but still I'm a little scared.
I know. You know what? Honestly, I've heard that a lot. I've heard that from a lot of women who are like, oh, I don't want to do it because I hear it hurts. It doesn't hurt. It's a little uncomfortable. It's a little bit of pressure. It's a little awkward. In the whole scheme of things, it really doesn't hurt. It's a little uncomfortable, but so is a pap smear. So is life. I promise. It's nothing to be scared of. I've done it every year since I turned 40. And one way that I kind of remember that it's time to get it, so I don't forget it, is I always go on my birthday or like my birthday month. It's a gift to myself that I know that I'm okay. So I always go in October to get my mammogram and my pap smear. Both of them are super important.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's good. It's like, hey, this is a gift. This is the gift for myself. Peace of mind. You know what I mean? I'm going to just get it done. Okay, I love that. Okay. I'm going to do it scared, even if I am. It's like, whatever. But now I feel better. Yeah. Is it a long process?
It's not. You're in there for 15 minutes. It's easy breezy. It's really not hard. You go in, they check one side, and then they check the other side, and then they do some pictures. Nothing like sexy. There's no like sexy cleavage pictures or anything like that. They're just no Instagram. There's no filters.
I know, like shit. Okay, awesome. All right, so it's not too crazy long. I was like, oh, am I gonna be in there for hours? Because pap smears are so uncomfortable, but they're super quick, and it's just like, oh my gosh, there they are. They're gonna grab my freaking uterus, but it's important. It's okay. So many things in life, like you said, are uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in and out, but then that seems really inappropriate when we're talking about pap smears.
True, you're right. And it also made me hungry. Now I'm like, I want some In-N-Out. In-N-Out sounds good. I'm always thinking about food. Oh my gosh. Anyways.
That's hysterical. And so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better. There is a little lump or bump that is kind of concerning me on my left breast. But the good thing is I'm going tomorrow and I'm like, you know what? Did I think about it? Well, because my grandmother, she had cancer, I believe twice, and now she's in remission, but I have to take care of that even more so. And my mom had a lump as well, and it was benign, but they had to remove it. So I have to, it's important. I think just whether like you said, whether it runs in your family or not, to definitely go get checked. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. I do have pain in like my ovaries and stuff, but I can't wait. I'm like, I just want to get that all situated and, and hopefully move on with my life, and just now I caught it. And that's a good thing that I went.
Right. And what a gift to yourself to be able, like, what if it's nothing? Great. Let's find out it's nothing. What if it's something? Let's take care of it. For me, it was an aggressive form of breast cancer. It was a rare form of breast cancer. I had a lumpectomy that didn't work because it still was spread. I had to have one of my right breast removed. It was traumatizing. It was traumatizing. It was emotional. It's still gone. But on the other hand, I'm like, I am alive. I am healthy. I am grounded. I am blessed. I am thankful that all I had to lose was my right breast and not my life. I mean, that is a gift.
Absolutely. And I love the way you see it. See, this is where I'm like, okay, hopefully it's nothing, but if it is something, then I can grab on from your strength. And you have really like made me feel like, okay, because I've been very emotional. I'm just like, what's going to happen? Yeah. But hey, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And speaking to people like you and listening to women that are so strong and like, okay, you're also in the entertainment industry and you're like, okay, God has given us this voice and this platform to share these stories and to hopefully help other people, and not just women, if not men too. Like it's important for men, the guys that listen to Chiquis and Chill, you guys go also get your checkups, and it's something that we need to prioritize, and we don't do that enough. So
absolutely. I hope men they tuned in because they were like, oh, these two chicks are going to be talking about boobies. And then we schooled them with some go to see your doctor.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to ask you how long, so now you're good. You're fine. You feel good now?
Yeah. So after I had my mastectomy, I had to go through 6 weeks of radiation, and I did that. And for right now, I am clear. I do have to continue to go have checkups and do CT scans and just make sure that this little bugger doesn't try to come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll eventually have reconstruction. I lost my breast, but I can have reconstruction and I can have a brand new boob that is going to be like brand new. I'm going to look like a hot 22-year-old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, win-win. I don't recommend going about getting boobs by getting cancer, but hey, if I have to go through cancer, I might as well get a new boob and
yeah. See, I love your attitude.
Yes, we have to find levity in really hard things. Like that's kind of one of those things that got me through is laughing and finding joy and finding humor in life, because what's the point otherwise, right?
Absolutely. I agree. So after going through everything and now thank goodness you are good, what did you learn basically? Like, how did this make you a better person? Like, is there something that you felt you needed to learn or you have learned or?
Yes, no, absolutely. People have been so gracious and kind and have sent words of encouragement. And, a lot of times they say, I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. And I appreciate that. I'm so grateful that I went through this. I'm also grateful that I lived, right? Like it would be a bummer if it was not good news. But I'm so grateful that I went through this, because I think for me, this was an opportunity to realize what's important in life, right? So many of us are chasing after something that is not going to fulfill us, whether it's a job or a career or money or a car, or like what this showed me is that the most important thing in my life is my today, is my babies, my kids, my family. And like, those are real things. And the jobs, they will come and go, and the opportunities, they will come and go. And for me, it grounded me in a way that I've never been grounded. It put me in today, put me in the moment, because I was like always thinking like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Well, what if there's no what's next because I didn't take care of myself? So right now is all I have. And for me, that is like the biggest gift that I could have been given.
Yes, because we get so caught up, like you said, especially being in the entertainment industry or just in anything. You don't even have to be in the entertainment industry. Like you are caught in the rat race of life and not really focused on what's in front of you, And I always say this, I'm like, stop and smell the roses. I'm like, literally stop and be like, oh, wow, what a nice bush of roses. Smell them, like
Yes.
appreciate these things. You know what I mean? Like I totally get what you're saying. And I think that's awesome that you feel completely grounded and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to know that you're good and you're going to be here for many, 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 many years with your boys and hopefully see their children and everything. So I'm happy. I'm glad that I was able to talk to you and that you are so open to share this and that you shared this on your social media because it is becoming more and more common, especially now even girls. A friend of mine got breast cancer at 32, you know, and breast cancer didn't run in her family. Yes, so young. And thank goodness she's good, but still, like she's another woman that it's like, okay, hey, we got to remind each other and ourselves that we have to do this and put ourselves and our health as a priority in our life. Share your social media with us, please.
Okay, and my Instagram is at Kristina Guerrero. You can watch my entire mini documentary. I mean, it's so weird because it's 15 minutes long, which in Instagram time might as well be like 1,000 years, but it is in its entirety is on my Instagram, and it'll make you cry. I'm just going to say it. Oh. It's going to make you cry, but I also hope that it brings you some joy and some inspiration at the same time and some hope. So that is my hope for anybody who happens to watch it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you so much for taking the time. I felt like my heart needed to speak to you. So everything happens for a reason. I'm a true and firm believer in that. I'm like, you know what, God, you are in control. You know why. And I trust your plans better than mine. So I'm speaking to you. And it just so happened to be that, yes, it is Cancer Awareness Month and I'm going through something. And I feel better now, to be honest. I'm not even joking. I feel like, okay, everything's going to be okay no matter what.
So, amen, sister. I love it. I love it.
And here, you guys know that I always leave you with a quote, a motivational quote every week. So the quote for the week is, I refuse to let this world crumble my character. I am the author. I am the story. I am the hero. I will write myself. So that is a quote, you guys, for today's episode. Please, please, please. Even if you don't do it for yourself, do it for me. Go get yourself checked. Be responsible. Please, you guys. Thank you so much. Te mando un besito a todos. Un besito, Kristina. Thank you so much. Again, besos. Do you need advice on love, relationships, health, y más? I'm so excited to share with you that my Chiquis and Chill podcast will have an extra episode drop each week. I'll be answering all your questions. Just leave me a voice message con todas tus preguntas y yo te las voy a contestar personalmente. All you have to do is go to speakpipe.com/Chiquis and Chill podcast and record your questions. I can't wait to hear from you. This is a production of iHeartRadio and the My Cultura Podcast Network. Follow us on Instagram at My Cultura Podcast and follow me, Chiquis, that's CHIQUIS. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and check us out on YouTube.